On the night that Palmer pulls gate guard, the Viet Cong on the mountains fire mortars that strike somewhere to the north of the city, too far away for Palmer to feel the impact of the explosions, either in his boots or in the air. When he hears the first rip of artificial thunder in the distance, it seems odd to be so near to the true source of the sound effects of Hollywood movies. Boom. His partner, a Spec 4 named Munt, tells him that the VC are probably trying to hit the ammo dump in order to make the stored bombs explode. They hit it every 2 months or so, Munt said. If they hit a big enough bomb, the Arvin barracks next door fall down. Adjacent to the western perimeter of Camp Quincy is a small compound occupied by the South Vietnamese Army. Their one-story barracks appear to be made of bamboo and woven straw mats, like ridiculous miniature imitations of American barracks, and which cannot withstand the impact of the detonations of the larger bombs on the far side of the mountains north of town. Munt tells him that sometimes after a VC attack, you'll see Arvin out there rebuilding their barracks. Palmer grins at this, looks off to the north. There's nothing to do inside this small wooden shack except sit on a high stool and listen and hope that a bomb doesn't come this way. Be ready to duck below the sandbag walls, but by the time you've decided to duck, it will probably be too late. The muzzle velocity of a .45 caliber bullet is 830 feet per second, so you can imagine how fast mortar fragments dissipate into air, wood, flesh. He has discovered that pulling gate guard causes him to dwell upon minutiae, as though a kind of safety resides in analyzing each particle of the things he fears, because there isn't much else to do on gate guard. The stuttering thump of Hueys comes from the airfield. Palmer looks down the road toward the evac hospital and sees white lights gathering. 5 or 6 helicopters slowly coming this way, as if using the road that runs adjacent to Camp Quincy as their guidon in the night. The headlights on their noses pointing downward, tracing the asphalt. Palmer steps outside the shack to watch them pass overhead. He can't see their rotors, sees only the underbellies of the choppers lit by streetlights as they drift past at treetop level, like a school of olive-drab whales floating west. This is going to be good, Munt says. The sounds of the choppers fade as they fly toward the PX, cross over it, then separate and begin spreading out in a combat formation, their fantails easing back and forth, the Hueys now like tiny fish idling against a river's current. A circle of light suddenly appears on the mountainside, a white disk that must cover 20 square miles. And at first Palmer thinks it has come from a helicopter. The circle probes the hillsides, slithers along its rills and gullies in search of VC, moves as rapidly as if Palmer himself were twitching the beam of a handheld flashlight across the far ranges, thousands of meters swept in less than a second. Palmer raises his eyes to the sky and sees the beam that casts the light, like a spotlight you would see outside a movie theater or premiere, though he has never seen one in person, but has seen them in the movies. "What's that light?" he says, looking over at Munt, who is standing beside him with a smile of anticipation on his compressed lips, his arms folded, studying the practiced choreography of the Hueys. Before Munt can reply, one of the choppers fires a rocket. Palmer hears the roaring hiss, hears the impact on the mountainside, and looks back to see the fading of the detonation, its white smoke boiling, and another rocket is fired, flashes on the hillside, the sound delayed like the crack of a baseball bat arriving after the white flash has disappeared. Boom! He feels it through his boots, a soft single shudder. Tracer bullets streak toward the side of the mountain, the Hueys now like angry spiders spinning endless red threads, raking the gullies, the rills, the folds as the circle of white light stops, creating a bullseye target for the bullets tearing up the earth. "That's a spotlight they got set up on the mountain over there," Munt explains, pointing off to his right, although Palmer has already traced the beam across the sky toward the source, the very tip of the mountain north of town, beyond which lies the ammo dump. Palmer hears voices behind him. He turns and looks across the compound and sees GIs standing in the dirt road, standing on the balconies of barracks, standing with towels wrapped around their waist, standing in T-shirts or bare-chested, holding cans of beer or Coca-Cola or nothing at all, watching the light show on the mountain. Men are drifting toward the main gate, so Palmer and Munt move back inside the small shack, where their view of the one-sided battle is not as good, but you never know. An officer might walk by and demand to know why you aren't positioned inside your duty station 5 feet away. The battle sounds cease, the faint pulse of the earth no longer throbbing at irregular intervals through Palmer's soles. The massive spotlight begins to drift slowly north along the hillside, its shape changing as it traces every mound and crevice, like a flattened liquid cat in a cartoon sliding off a chair.